Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking Wonder Woman. Now, the last time we talked about how some black women, the articles they put out on Wonder Woman were somewhat ridiculous. They wanted to have a Wonder Woman that they could identify with. This is pretty much the bottom line. And in the comics, there is such a Wonder Woman. And as you can see here, on your right is Wonder Woman. She's generally thought of to be white. And on your left is the black Wonder Woman. There is a black Wonder Woman. Yeah, there is one. Her name is Nubia. Nubia happens to be Wonder Woman's sister, and she's appeared in a number of Wonder Woman comics. You can see her here and here. In some sense of the word, she was also in Behind the League of Zen, in an alternate universe where Superman was also black. But Nubia actually entered the comics a while back. She's spectacularly fantastic. This is a fan's art description of Nubia. Look how fantastic she looks. And she basically is explained right here. Nubia, let me just zoom in a little bit. She is known as Princess Nubia of Themyscira, and she's not just a princess, she's also a scientist. She's really the daughter of Hippolyta and Philippus, who is another woman, basically a lesbian relationship where Hippolyta marries Philippus. And the patron of gods of Themyscira give them a child using part of Philippus's blood. And she is blessed with certain gifts by some Egyptian gods such as Isis, Bast, Hathor, Ma'at, and Sekhmet. These are all Egyptian gods. Okay? And so basically you see some Egyptian motifs, which makes sense because the Greek mythology comes from the Egyptian mythology. It's actually a pass down from Egyptian mythology. So it's not really strange to see the same sort of themes and motifs that you see in Greek mythology from Egyptian mythology. So let's to tie everything in so people will understand. There is Sumerian ideology, there's Foot ideology. Foot is actually another name for Egypt. And these are all families. Sumerian Empire, as you go higher up the road, you find out that these are the descendants of a certain family line, a brother known as Ham. So the Sumerians are part of Ham. They are Hamites, just like the Egyptians or Futs are descendants of Ham. And basically, some people believe that, for instance, the Persian mythology influenced India. But not to go into too much detail, the Nubian Empire also influenced India. In fact, the Ethiopians influenced a lot of India's culture. So that when you look at, for instance, what we call Hinduism today, which is not really a religion, it's actually just a group of people. Nonetheless, that is a combination of Persian and Egyptian or Ethiopian, particularly Eastern African influences. In fact, the Nubian Empire, if you've ever heard of the Nubian Empire, was actually an extension of Egypt. There was northern and southern Egypt. The Ethiopians, what we called Ethiopia or Eritrea and Sumeria, etc., these countries are actually offshoots of what was once known as Egypt. Egypt was a great nation that spanned all the way up into the Middle East, and what we call the Middle East today, and moved all the way across North Africa into parts of what is known present-day Europe, and then spanned all the way down the eastern borders to the southern borders of Africa, into also the islands off the coast of Africa. Okay? So when we talk about the Nubian Empire, some of which has been submerged underwater, the Nile has covered a lot of the civilization. You'll find that that civilization is basically the bedrock of all religious organizations. What in the Bible is called media, the Medians, and what is also known as Old Media. There's two types of media. There's the Medians and Persians, and then there's Media, which was a civilization, the southern part of Egypt. So that influenced, in fact, there was a certain point in time when Egypt was the center of the world. The whole entire world revolved around Egypt. Egypt owned many of the world's civilizations, were responsible for the technology and the progress. Okay, so that's why Greece also. Greece is very old as well. Greece has been since the time of Egypt. Okay, but before we knew about Greece or Greek, the early Greek, which is what you see in Wonder Woman, was influenced by early Hebrew, which wasn't called Hebrew at the time. It was called Sumerian. And the Syrians is also, Syria is a very, very old civilization as well. And so you had Egypt, Syria, and Greece. But Greece was the early Greece. And Greece was influenced by Egypt. It was influenced by Syria. It was influenced by most of the Mesopotamian provinces, the Sumerian empires. Tremendous empires. Powerful, incredible people as well, very spiritual, etc. So Nubia basically is a pass down of this information, understanding that Greek philosophy has been informed, and guys like Socrates and these guys went down into Egypt to learn a lot more. And so basically Greek philosophy has been informed by Egyptian philosophy as well as Persian philosophy and Mesopotamian philosophy. Mesopotamia being Sumeria, Sumeria being the earlier religion of Mesopotamia. Not religion, sorry, civilization. So, having said all of that, what I really am trying to say, because I'm kind of going into a lot of stuff that you guys, that's why we talk about Hathor and Ma'at and Sekhmet and Isis and Bast. Ma'at is actually a sort of religion, and it preceded what currently today the Jews believe in, which is the Ten Commandments and so on. These things come from Ma'at, actually. It preceded. Moses lived in Egypt for a long time, was informed by that, and so spoke in a sort of manner that the Egyptians themselves would understand if he were to speak to the Israelites. And since the Israelites were in Egypt for such a long time, they were informed by that. In fact, Israel, this is so weird because there's so much to say, but Israel was also informed by Egypt. If you think about Abraham going into Pharaoh's territory and so on. And all of these things are factual stuff that you can find in archaeological studies, which will support it. Again, I'm not saying these things to get you guys down a road that you came here just to watch about Wonder Woman, right? But I just wanted to inform you how they're able to inform you about Nubia. You see, because a lot of these things, a lot of these mythos are actually grounded in realities. Some of them are being hyperbolized. Some of them have been diminished. But a lot of these stories you hear, while some of them are a little bit too extravagant, are really based on reality. For instance, the Amazons, they actually did exist. Okay? There was actually a nation of warriors, women warriors, and they fought for justice to help certain countries defeat other countries. Okay? Literally, they existed, this group of women like that. And not only in Greece, but also in South America, etc. We had armies of women. So this is nothing new. When we hear about Nubia, the name Nubia actually symbolizes a literal civilization. There was actually a civilization, an empire, that was known as the Nubian Empire. Okay? So this is not, when you see these comic books, what I'm trying to tell you guys is when you see comic books are a modern mythos, yes, but they're also explaining a reality that actually existed before. The names, the stories are actually small little analogies, though they are more fableized, analogies of truth. Aesop's fables have a certain measure of truth in them, not just the moral or story that it's trying to give, but it literally based on certain things that people built into legend and blew it out of proportion, but they actually, certain things of those things happened. Okay? Maybe not in the metaphorical sense that they are said in the stories, but they did happen. So I say this to say that Nubia is the answer to these people's request. They want a Wonder Woman that's black. Well, Nubia actually existed. And Nubia was the younger sister of Diana. Okay? And she accompanied Diana into the real world to fight Ares. But she was much more logical, and she applied a lot of scientific approaches to things. So this explains a little bit more about Nubia. You can actually read it, freeze the video, and read the rest of the details of Nubia if you so wish. You can pause it right now. Okay. And there are a number of times when Wonder Woman or Diana met Nubia in the comics. Both of them are Wonder Woman, of course. And in DC Comics, The Adventures of the Original Wonder Woman, issue number 204, Nubia faces Diana. And you see them here. She says, "I am Nubia of the floating island, Ola Nubia." And they clash for a while, but they become friends in the end. Okay, this is called The Second Life of Wonder Woman, and they go into some backstory of Nubia. This story was revised a little later on, but in issue number 206, again, Nubia faces Wonder Woman. Just showing you the cover of the issue. And here in the War of the Wonder Woman, under Mars, which is Ares' brainwashing, Wonder Woman finally meets her sister Nubia in a battle to the death. Okay. There they are. Alright. But we see Nubia in a number of other things. Like I said, she was in the League. Nubia was in the League of Zen. Okay. And here she's with the Black Superman. Alright. The Black Superman. So it's all kind of alternate universe. And the Black Superman, I'm trying to remember what L he's called. I think he's called Kal-El as well, but I think it's Kal with a C. Okay? Anyway, that music, great Krypton Nubia. The entire universe is shaking. And Nubia, she says, "The Wonder Woman of Amazonia bring only anti-war technology into the world, but the Wonder Horn was a gift from the universals in mythic time before time." So she's talking to him about something to be used only once when all else failed. Whatever it is, something is responding. There she is. So it's sort of New 52 spin-off as well. And you see Superman there, and you see Nubia. Okay. So yeah, there's a Black Superman as well. So there's a lot that the movies can do with these comics. Okay. There's so much lore inside of the comics. And that's why I said, these women, why weren't they talking about a Black Superman? Why are people talking about not being represented now? I don't understand these things. Talking about an inferiority complex because a great hero had to be white. This had been explored already. Since way back in the day, we had Nubia. Okay? So, no, that's not true. What is that music? Like I've known it all my life. So sad, so hopeful, so brave. This is Kal talking to Nubia. "The music of the sphere," she explains, "the sound of the tides of the infinite breaking on our mortal strand. And bearing a vessel, surging on a foam of gravitons like some new Argo. Its cargo not gods, not monsters, but heroes." Okay, so that's her explaining to Kal what's going on. As you know, in Wonder Woman, Diana explains to Steve that they are the bridge to a greater understanding. So there's a lot more to the Amazons than meets the eye. And that's why they were there to teach the humans love. They were supposed to give them a greater understanding, and love would be the key for them to be able to learn and expand and grow as a humanity. So, having said all of that, I'm going to come back to the beginning in a minute. You know, some fans thought, well, who could be a Black Wonder Woman? Who could be Nubia? And so they kind of looked at Serena Williams, who is a kind of Nubia today. She's a Black Nubia because she uses science to dominate the tennis court, right? So she's like a Black Wonder Woman. A really awesome picture. I really like it. Of course, Wonder Woman doesn't have to be in the traditional blue, white, and red colors. And here, Wonder Woman almost looks Mexican here with these colors, but really they are the colors of sovereignty and regality and naturalism, meaning yellow, red, white, and green, sometimes even orange. And these are African colors. You see a lot of African nations have these colors. Mexico, some Pan-African nations have these colors. So that this is beautiful because this shows again her Egyptian roots, her Nubian roots. So this is really awesome. Look how strong and powerful again she looks. Here are some other fan depictions of Nubia. Pretty fantastic. Here she has a fro. Alright. And again, she represents the god Isis and Hathor. Hathor is the god of fertility, etc. You know, I don't want to go into too much more about those things, but just suffice it to say that, again, she's symbolizing these things. You see the rays coming out of her. You saw it also in Diana's poster with the IMAX poster. The rays emitted from her, showing again her divinity. So there are many different things going on with these lore, these well, for lack of a better word, comic book culture, pop culture, present day mythos. Okay, there's a lot of things going on. Nonetheless, here is another iteration by a fan of Wonder Woman, and this black woman, she's saying, I'm already a Wonder Woman. I'm already a wonder. You know, I don't need a hero to save me. You know what I'm saying? It's really fun. It's fun. It's a fun poster because here we see this, you know, big, you know, sizable woman here. This is, you know, I don't want to call her fat because she's fat, but I mean, she's sizable, but yet you can see the relish in who she is. She's comfortable with who she is. And that's the key. When you think of Oprah Winfrey's, you know, she's big boned. You know what I'm saying? She's big, you know. But at the same time, she's confident in who she is. And so the standard, the quality, when you think of Oprah Winfrey, you think of something, you know, lofty and even attractive, if you will, you know. So I'm just saying, this is the awesome thing about it. And again, so that people understand me, black women need to understand, or black people need to understand. I know there's an inferiority complex in the American structure because you've been oppressed. And on oppressed people, you have to fight against that mindset to put you down. And there's so many ways, psychologically and otherwise, that people seek to put down black people. They try to trivialize them. When Black Lives Matter came out to make a statement about how important it was to value black lives, and people think of black lives, they don't think of it as important for some reason. They think most black people are thieves and murderers and liars and everything that's negative. The first thing you think about with a black person is negative, where I just don't see that. When I see a black person, I see virtue. I actually feel very comfortable around them. I don't know why, but it's something where I myself am a black person though. So, but I really like seeing people who are of color for some reason. I don't know why. And the darker they are, the more comfortable I am around them, which is weird. But the thing about it is that what you have to understand is, yes, fighting against that, having to go this uphill battle where people keep on telling you can't do this, or they expect the worst from you. They don't expect anything good from you, positive. And then the media projects you, and the pop culture projects you a certain kind of way. So you have to fight against all of these things. Plus, you may have to fight against the fact that you are being prejudiced against all the time. That's a tough, I mean, I don't care who you are. I didn't grow up in that environment. I didn't grow up in prejudice. I grew up in a country which was mixed, although there are many different races of people here, but predominantly colored people are in this country. So you can't ethnically, you see what I'm saying? You can't be racist in a country where everybody's more or less black. You know what I'm saying? It just don't make no sense. So I grew up free of those things. I never had to struggle to achieve and to prove myself continuously. And not only to prove myself, but to show, to demonstrate that I am someone to be treated like a person. I never had to deal with that. When I went to the United States of America and I was seeing this, it was so strange to me and so backward that people were trying to judge me based on my skin color. And they thought I was going to steal something. And their jokes, they thought it was funny to make a joke that I was going to steal something or whatever. And to me, it was so beneath me, and that they would stoop so low as far as I was concerned. And even me being somebody from another country, people immediately thought, you know, there's this inbuilt fake pride with some American people. Not all of them. Some of them are open-minded. That they're somehow superior to you. That somehow you don't know how to pronounce words, or you don't know how to do this or do that, you know. So they try to second guess you, which is really funny because, again, some of these people have really relatively no experience of the world. Like, if somebody comes into your country, and you haven't gone anywhere, you haven't even left your town, you've never even seen another state, and you think that you are better than them, it's because you haven't traveled. You haven't seen the world. I know that feeling because sometimes people come into my country and I think, oh, who they think they are, you know, that kind of attitude. Because you're so small-minded. You haven't seen the world beyond your little page. And even if you've traveled all around the world and you still have that mindset where you think you're superior to other people, you're not. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they seem to be an immigrant that comes from another country who hardly can speak English. They may be able to speak 4 or 5 languages and you only don't know how to speak one. Believe you me, you're a dimwit in their eyes when you try to pull rank on them. And you feel you're so great and you're so entitled. You know, I'm just saying. I know I can understand that because people have come to my country and I had similar attitude. Oh, you're an immigrant. You're this. What are you doing here? You're messing up my country. You know, it's stupid. Okay. So I say all of this again. You guys were like, what is this dude? This is supposed to be about Wonder Woman. It's supposed to be Nubia. Yeah. But I like to discuss a whole bunch of other stuff that comes along with it. If you don't like it, just stop the video and leave. Don't waste your time. But I like to talk about things. So as I'm talking about Nubia and the fact that these women are speaking about, you have to understand they somewhat have an inferiority complex. And it's not something alien to any human being. They're struggling. You have to understand, when you have fighting a struggle where people keep on keeping you down. Now, if you are confident in yourself, all right, and no human beings like this, because we are all social creatures. We all seek approval at some point. But if you are absolutely confident in yourself, then you don't really give a damn. You don't care about nothing. But if you have this challenge because there's all these people constantly drilling in your head, they're constantly bombarding your head that you're less than them, that you're less of a human being than they are. If you constantly hear that, whether it's in the school systems, systematic racism, whether it's in the streets, whether it's in the news, you keep on seeing it all around you, and you know what's going on, and you know you have to fight against that, and you know that you have the next generation who will have to fight against that, I can understand where they're coming from. And to a certain degree, and even in my country, there's institutional racism in that regard, because it's kind of systematically built up. But not to give it more credit than it deserves, the people who benefit from this systematic racism can't see it. Because if you haven't experienced systematic racism, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't experienced it, you won't be able to detect it. And you'll be like, what's the problem with this person? What's their problem? Get over it. You know, you'll be like that because you haven't experienced it. So you don't identify it when you see it. And you do not understand how these things are more, as we say, subconsciously suggested to people. Or shall we say consciously suggested to people, the people who start to circulate it and then other people take it on. It's like, for instance, all the talk about the Martha moment in BVS and that BVS is a bad movie. Who first started circulating that rumor? It was something that was circulated, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put it to you this way. If gossip, how is gossip circulated, right? Gossip circulates because somebody starts off a rumor. And then other people take it and they take it as fact and they circulate it. And then it's circulated more and it's twisted and bent and twisted and bent. And the story is twisted and bent and embellished and it keeps on being passed on. No one has verified if the rumor is true or false. That's how gossip works. Well, guess what? That's just how systematic racism works. It starts off with somebody who intentionally puts something out there that's false about another person or another group of people. And then guess what? Other people take it up as if it's true, and they circulate it. And it gets embellished and circulated and embellished and circulated until people all believe that once you see a black person on the side of the road walking, he's probably a thief and he needs to be arrested or profiled and followed. Because he's probably a gang member, or he's probably a criminal, or he probably stole his clothes. And these fears are circulated, and communities embrace these things. This is how racism works. It's built off of fear that somebody's going to benefit from something you have. Take, for instance, the rumor that says that because there was this rule for minorities so that they could get scholarships, that was going to take away from the grants and funding of normal white students going to school. It doesn't take away from funding. Another rumor, which is unsubstantiated, is that Mexicans and immigrants, illegal immigrants especially, they take away work from working class families, and they affect the economy, draining it because they carry back money to South America. Now, part of that is true. They may carry back money to Mexico, for instance, right? But they're not draining the economy. If anything, they're causing a transactional, they bleed money out of the country, but they exchange, remember, this money was exchanged for services. These people have to work and earn the money. They don't pay taxes, but guess what they do by transferring money to Mexico, to their families? Their families will want to come across to the United States of America, work as well, and trade again services for dollars. If tomorrow you remove all the illegal immigrants from the United States of America, you are going to have a vacancy of jobs that other Americans cannot satisfy, will not be able to fulfill, and will not be able to do it efficiently. So if you go and you send back all the illegal immigrants back to their country, you will find out how much America depends on them for jobs and work, and therefore to boost their economy. Okay? See, it's a lie that these people take from the United States of America without giving back. They don't pay taxes. That is true. But how they make up is they provide services that otherwise the United States of America would not be able to provide with their citizens, because they're not capable, skilled enough, and they're not willing to take the risk that these people take and work the hours that these people work to be able to provide the service. It's just facts. Back to Wonder Woman. So, if you want to open up, you want to fill up that void, why don't these women lobby for Nubia to be in the next Wonder Woman flick? Now that would make sense. Just imagine, you see Nubia played by this actress. You know, she was actually in Wonder Woman. She was a senator in Wonder Woman. But an actress like her. You got Nubia alongside Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot, sorry. Okay, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman has a sister, Nubia. That would be cool. That would be awesome. And that would be just like the comics as well. And this is the sort of thing that is positive. Like, if you want to speak about the fact that the superhero Wonder Woman, she's white. I don't identify with that. Now people are going to think that super means that you are white. Well, the comics already addressed that. DC Comics addressed it a long time ago. A long time ago. Okay? But if you still have a problem with that, guess what? Why don't you lobby for Nubia to be in Wonder Woman 2? Why don't you find a way to ask Patty Jenkins, or find a way to have Patty Jenkins weave in Nubia into one of the Wonder Woman sequels? Or maybe even have a Nubia, a standalone Nubia movie, or maybe a standalone Nubia animated series. I remember there was a short 4-part animation clip of Wonder Woman on the I think it's the Comics Network, something like that, the CN Network. I think it's Cartoon Network. Right now we have Justice League Action on the Cartoon Network, but on the Cartoon Network, I think it was a 4-part series of Wonder Woman, and she was a modern day girl. She was black, and she was wearing just a t-shirt and a pants. It was really cool. And all I'm saying is that you can have a black Wonder Woman, but see how your attitude, how you go about lobbying for a black Wonder Woman is the thing that you're not doing. You're not doing it right. You see, you don't complain, oh, Wonder Woman didn't have, the black characters in Wonder Woman going according to tropes and they mistreated the black characters and stuff. That's not true. It's not true at all. And the other thing is, if you're going to approach a movie and you want to lobby for somebody, make a good case. Make a selling point why this would happen. Black Panther's coming up. Black Panther's coming. All right? So where's going to be a black superhero that's a woman? That's what you want to say. You want to be progressive. Well, here she is. She's Nubia. All right? And now you lobby for Nubia to be there. This was the comic where you had the black Wonder Woman. It was a 4-part series on Cartoon Network. You can always go and check it out. It's really cool. But the point is, you can have that black Wonder Woman. You know what's the cool thing about black Wonder Woman? Is you can see she's big, massive thighs, and she's big, strong. But you know what else is cool about black Wonder Woman? She's African. Yeah, she's as African as they get. Now, the other point is, if you're going to have a black Wonder Woman, then you should be able to have another Wonder Woman that represents other ethnic groups and ethnic cultures. It's very important. You can't just have one-dimensional, just one set of Wonder Woman, black and white. No. The world is much more than that. You have multiracial, multi-ethnic Wonder Woman. It'd be really cool if you have all of that. My point being this. Wonder Woman is an idea. And they actually, instead of even going with a Latino Wonder Woman or Chinese Wonder Woman or Asian Wonder Woman or Japanese Wonder Woman, they went with a black Wonder Woman in the comics. Very early on in the comics, somewhere in the 50s or the 60s, I think they had a black Wonder Woman. Or 70s, I can't remember which one it was. My point anyway is this. The comic books have always been progressive. And they've always been looking at ethnicity and how we could bridge the gap. And there's so many other ethnic races and peoples and cultures. It would be cool to highlight all of these different things in the comic books. And I hope the comic books can get more diverse and be able to explore these different things. Like manga does. But the point is that when it comes to a black Wonder Woman, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for Nubia. Okay? There is actually a black Wonder Woman out there. And she's awesome. She's really awesome. And I mean, I can show you guys also in cosplay and otherwise. Nubia. Let me see if I can show you guys. I'm just showing you some fan art here now. And some art from the comics. I'm just going through it as quickly as I can. In fact, there's another black Wonder Woman a fan came up with, which was really cool. Wandisha. The new 52 costume. Wandisha. You know what I'm saying? Be inventive. All I'm saying to you guys is that you can have the black Wonder Woman. It can happen. But you have to approach it correctly, man. You can't be trying to Wonder Woman, the movie, is a gateway for opportunity. You have to look at it that way. Here is some cosplay here. Black Wonder Woman. Looks good. Looks good. Right. Some more cosplay. Right. This is the Linda Carter costume. I know is that her real hair or is that a wig? I don't know, man. Sometimes you can't tell. This is cool. See, black Wonder Woman costume. Bottom line is, instead of, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, why not having a we can attitude? By the way, that's what Barack Obama used to always say. Yes, we can. Have a can-do attitude instead of, oh, they didn't do this and they didn't do. Why are you bitching and moaning? I mean, we got enough bitching and moaning in this world. We got enough negativity in this world. Let's have a can-do attitude. Well, this opens the door for a black Wonder Woman now. Yeah, say it. Ain't nothing wrong. Nobody gonna be mad at you. Well, some people will be mad at you, and we won't care. Because now you're saying something positive. You're talking about what you can do, not what they haven't done. You know, it's the attitude of people that I find terrible. When have you heard me ever tear down any movie? I don't even tear down Marvel movies. You know, I don't tear them down. If I go and see a movie, I'll tell you if it's a good movie or not. And more than likely, I'm going to tell you it's a good movie. If it's a crappy movie, I'll tell you it's a crappy movie. But most of the time, I don't go into a movie. I'm not going to pay money and go into a movie to to tear it down. That's stupid. That's stupid. If it's a waste of time, I'll really tell you it's a waste of time. Which reminds me, I got something else in the account and I want to talk to you guys about. It's spoiler filled. So that will be in my next video. You guys have a great one.